Structuralism and Literature. By Jonathan Culler. Jonathan Culler. Jonathan Culler, an American critic, was born on October 1, 1944 in Cleveland. Received his bachelor's degree in history and literature in 1966 from Harvard University. In 1968 he earned his M.Phil in comparative literature from St. John's College, Oxford University. He was a fellow in French and director of studies in modern languages at Selwyn College, Cambridge University from 1969 to 1974. He is class of 1916 professor of English and comparative literature at Cornell University. Won James Russell Lowell Prize from the Modern Language Association of America in 1976 for his book of criticism, Structuralist Poetics, Structuralism, Linguistics, and the Study of Literature. Structuralism and Literature. First published in 1975. Explains what is structuralism and how it is relevant to the study of literature. Outlines a structural approach to literature with examples to understand how literary works provides meaning to the readers. Summary. Culler starts the essay by stating that structuralistic approach is directly relevant to the practical study and teaching of literature. He assumes that studying and teaching literature involve the development and mastery of special operations and procedures which are required for reading literature. He tends to explain structuralism and structuralist approach to literature with respect to several examples. He states the definition given by Roland Barthes, who states structuralist approach as a method for the study of cultural artifacts derived from the methods of contemporary linguistics. Two possible ways are there for using linguistic methods. First is to describe the linguistic terms of the language of literary text, and other is to construct a poetics to literature. The fundamental principles of linguistics is directly relevant, as Ferdinand Saussure distinguished between langue and parole. In learning a language, the linguistic system of communication is mastered, and the task of the linguist is to explicit what he has mastered. Structuralism and semiology are based on two fundamental things such as 1. The social and cultural phenomena are defined by a network of relations. 2. The social and cultural phenomena, including literature, have signs as their meaning. Structuralism studies the definition and difference of cultural objects, whereas semiology studies the cultural objects as signs that carry meaning. The task of structural analysis is to formulate the underlying system which enable cultural objects to have meaning. Culler says that the interpreters of literature are producing more perceptive version of what readers of literature do for themselves. The structuralist perspective is to take linguistics as a model to think the relationship between the utterance and the speaker. A person who knows the language may not be able to understand the literature as he lacks the system of convention called literary competence. A structuralist poetics must inquire what kind of knowledge must be postulated to read and understand literary works. Culler states an example for literary competence by taking an ordinary sentence and setting it as a poem. The sentence is, "Yesterday I went into town and bought a lamp." He rearranged the sentence as follows. Yesterday I went into town and bought a lamp. The words are the same, and when an ordinary sentence is seen as a poem, the meaning changes as the conventions captures some significant utterance and themes. The conventions of the lyric create the possibility of new and supplementary meanings, as it depends on the operations performed by the readers. New criticism argues that the meaning is there within the poem and the reader must approach without any preconceptions. Structuralism argues that the meaning relies only in relation to the literary system or the institution of literature which guides the reader. The study of one work facilitates the study of the next. Culler indicates Northrop Frye, who says that a coherent and comprehensive theory of literature is essential for literary education. There are some obstacles, as the critics think that their task is to produce new and subtler interpretation of literary works. The difficulty of determining literary competence is another obstacle which will resolve itself in practice. Culler says that the common basis for reading must be understood clearly, and the conventions which make literature must be made more explicit. A structuralist approach starts by stressing the artificiality of the literature, as literature is written in the language of information and not used in the language game of information. The relationship to speaker to utterance is different from dealing a poem in a speech. Culler states the example of Ben Jonson's inviting a friend to supper, which deals with strangeness. The technique of reading is to overcome strangeness and naturalising the text and making the meaning out of it. He states the word vraisemblabilisation used by French theorist for naturalising. To understand Shelley's My Soul is an Enchanted Boat, one must perform semantic transformation of naturalization. The conventions of literature guide the process of naturalization and provide alternative to premature naturalization, which ignores literary characteristics. He quotes Donne's The Good Morrow as an example of premature naturalization, as the explanation is inappropriate. Naturalization is the process of making something intelligible by relating it to what is already known and accepted. The Semic Code, as Barthes calls, is a good case of literary convention which produce intelligibility. Semantic transformation helps us to pick out items and build character with correlation between perfect or blemished complexions and perfect or blemished character. The symbolic code is consecrated by tradition with intrinsic meaning and potential symbols with meaning of the context. He states examples of symbols such as rose, sun, moon, which gives variety of meanings with the significant semantic field. He indicates the poem of William Carlos William and states that the reading of the poem depends upon some common interpretive operations. The meaning of the poem will lie in the kind of operations which it forces us to perform, in the extent to which it resists or complies with our expectations about literary signs. If one is capable of thinking literature as a set of interpretive norms, then he will be equipped with the clear understanding of literature and the limitations of interpretations. Thus, structuralist poetics has a crucial role to play in advancing an understanding of literatures as an institution and also promoting the richest experience of reading. For more videos, like, share, subscribe. Thank you.